Hey guys, in these examples, we're going to be looking at slope formula. So what slope formula is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So what m is slope. So slope is just defined by m, and we'll get more into that as we go through on this lesson, this unit. But the main thing is you just need to know this. So this is super important. So do whatever it takes, but you will need to memorize this. Okay? So an easy way to think of this formula is it's the change in y's over the change of x. So sometimes, like in these examples, they're just going to give you 2 points that are just 2 points on the graph, but we have to actually find the slope. So what we're going to do first, we go through and we're going to label them. Since this is the first set, this is going to be x1, y1. Since this is the second set, this is going to be x2, y2. And of course, just because anytime you put it in a solution set like that, it's always x then y. So now that we have it labeled, we're just going to plug it into our formula, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So y2 is negative 5 minus 5 over x2 is negative 8 minus, in parentheses, is going to be negative 1. So negative 5 minus 5 is negative 10 over negative 8. When you minus negative 4, becomes plus 4. Then we have negative 10 over negative 8 plus 4 is negative 4. So we have negative 10 over negative 4. We can reduce that. We can divide both by 2, which will give you negative 5 over negative 2. And then if we have two negatives, they cancel each other out. So we're just left with positive 2/5. So we could say m equals, oops, I'm sorry, I did not mean 2/5. I meant 5/2. So we say m equals 5 over 2. Let's look at another example. Of course, you should always label it. I know you could probably do it in your head, but it just saves a lot of room for mistake because you can't mess up with the negatives if you label everything out. So we're just replacing it. y2 is 3 minus y1 is 9 over x2, which is 2, minus x1, which is negative 1. 3 minus 9 gives you negative 6. This becomes 2 plus 1. Then we have negative 6 over 3. And then, of course, we can reduce that to negative 6 divided by 3 is going to give you negative 2. So we're going to say m, which, keep in mind, that's what slope is. M equals negative 2. Let's look at some more examples. Same thing, we're just plugging it in. x1, y1, x2, y2. I'm going to write the formula up here for us. So y2 is negative 4 minus a negative 4 over 1 minus 9. So we have negative 4 minus negative 4, which becomes negative 4 plus 4 over 1 minus 9 is negative 8. Negative 4 plus 4 is 0 over negative 8. And 0 divided by anything is 0. So in this one, m will equal 0. So it is okay to get it that a slope equals 0, that it's perfectly normal. Let's look at another example. So these will get super repetitive because as long as you have this formula down, they're super easy to do. You're just plugging it straight in. So we have 5 minus 8 over negative 7 minus a negative 7. 5 minus 8 is negative 3. This becomes negative 7. Minusing a negative 7 becomes adding 7. So we have negative 3 over negative 7 plus 7 is 0. And you cannot divide by 0 in math, so this one is undefined. So we'd say m equals undefined. So let's look at 2 more examples that you could possibly run across during your homework. So this is when they give you one set, you're missing a number. So you see this one just says x, and then they give you what m equals. So we know our slope, which is m, equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this one, we're just going to plug in all of these, but now we're searching for one. So we're still going to label it x1, y1, x2, y2. But now we have to throw in this m. So we know m equals 2, so we're going to say 2 equals 6 minus a negative 2 over x minus a negative 3. So we're going to simplify a little bit. We have 2 equals, we have 6 minus negative 2, which becomes 6 plus 2, which is 8, over x minus negative 3, which is going to be plus 3. So now what we have to do, in order to get rid of this denominator, we're going to have to multiply both sides by the denominator. Okay? That way right here, this cancels out. So now we're left with x plus 3 onto 2 equals 8. We're going to distribute. So we have now 2x plus 6 equals 8. We're going to subtract 6 from both sides. We're left with 2x equals 2. And then lastly, we're going to divide both sides by 2. So we're left with x equals 1. So that's just the answer for that one. Same thing in example 6 here. Just this case, we're looking for a y now instead of an x. Same thing though, I always want to see you label them x1, y1, x2, y2. Our formula is of course this. So we're going to say m, which is 1/3, equals y2, which is negative 2, minus y1, which in this case is y, over x2 minus x1. Of course, simplify it. Now we have 1/3 equals negative 2 minus y over 9 minus negative 3 becomes plus 3. So 9 plus 3 is 12. We want to get rid of this 12, so we're going to multiply both sides by 12. Those cancel out. All this is saying is, what is 12 divided by 3? Well, 12 divided by 3 is 4. So now we have 4 equals negative 2 minus y. We're going to add 2 to both sides. We're left with 6 equals negative y. And then we're trying to look for a positive y. So we're going to divide by negative 1 on both sides. And we're left with y equals negative 6. So these are the two types of problems you could come across in your homework. You could come across just the simple ones that are just, they give you 2 points and you're finding your slope. Or they could give you where they give you the slope and 1 point and a partial point and you're finding either an x or y. Both are pretty much the same. You're just following this formula. So as long as you have that written down, memorized, I don't care what, but as long as you have that down, you should have no problem doing these work.